Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Greetings on the auspicious occasion of Mahashivaratri. The 14th day of every lunar month or the day before the new moon is known as Pradosha Shivaratri. Next slide, sir. Among all the 12 Shivaratris that occur in a calendar year, Mahashivaratri, the one that occurs in the Magha Masa, is of the most spiritual significance. On this day, we as Vedantic seekers offer our namaskara to Lord Dakshinamurti, who was an expression of Lord Shiva himself. He is the Adi Guru who has given us the Vedic way of life. Lord Dakshinamurti is also called Sadashiva, the eternally pure. Hence, every class of Param Vedanta starts with a salutation to the Guru Parampara that began with Lord Dakshinamurti, prospered under Jagat Guru Shankaracharya, and continues to thrive through our present Acharyas. Next slide, sir. What is this Vedic way of life or Vedika Dharma? Swami Paramarthananda lists 3 sets of values which will help us lead a noble life. Swamiji classifies it under general values to refine us as human beings, religious values to lead a religious way of life, and spiritual values to guide us towards a spiritual way of life. Let us first see the general or the Samanya Gunani in the next slide. Paropakara. This is the first value that Swamiji lists. In all the 18 Puranas, Vyasacharya's core message can be found in just 2 words. Paropakaryaha punyaha. Helping others is punya karma. Paropakarathamidam shariram. That is the sole purpose of this sharira, that is the body-mind complex, is to help others. Ahimsa. Even if we cannot help them, at least let us not do harm. Himsa need not be done only by actions, but is most oftenly done by our words and thoughts, especially when angry or hurt. The final samanya value is kshama or titiksha, that is tolerance. When we don't have tolerance, we resort to himsa, violating the value of ahimsa. Its importance can be derived from the fact that Lord Krishna quotes it in his very 4th verse of the Gita teaching, which is quoted often by Hegdesa. Matra sparsha sukhaunteya, shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha, agama paino nityaha, tam stitikshasva bharata. The next set of values are the religious values. Swamiji says it requires a lot of punyam to come to religious values. The first religious value is Shraddha, complete unwavering faith in the validity and utility of our scriptures. The scriptures are a divine manual telling us how to lead a life of purpose and fulfillment, and we will be wise to follow it. The second value, which is the crux of religious life, is Ishvara Bhakti. As students of Vedanta, we know that Ishvara is Jagat Karanam. This is not faith, but knowledge. I don't believe that God exists, but I know. We are born out of Ishvara, sustained by Him, and resolved unto Him. Acknowledgement of this primary, fundamental relationship with Ishvara is bhakti. We worship His finite representations like Vishnu, Shiva, Parvati, or Lakshmi, always grateful for all we have. The third religious value is Vairagya, emotional non-dependence on the world. I understand that all worldly relationships with people or objects are transient and perishable. I cannot depend on them for my peace and happiness. Hence, I draw my strength from the only permanent entity in the entire creation, and that is God and God alone. From from a religious life, a person only enters spiritual life when he wishes to know the infinite God behind the names and forms. Next, we see the three spiritual values that Swamiji gives us. The first is Shraddha towards spiritual literature. Our Shraddha has now graduated from Bhakti literature, which is knowing the glories of finite gods, to Gnanam literature, the Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam, given in the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. The next spiritual value is Bhakti towards our spiritual guru. To understand Gnanam is not easy. It requires consistent, systematic study of the spiritual scriptures for a length of time under a competent guru. Hence, Bhakti is now oriented towards Guru Bhakti, and hence we chant Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Finally, the last spiritual value is inquiry into the nature of God. Only a guru can lead us into a thorough inquiry about the nature of God. Who is this God? Who is this world? And most importantly, who am I? After dedicated Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam, we eventually understand that there is only one absolute reality, Shantam, Shivam, Advaitam. Summarizing, in the next slide, we start with the general values, then go to the religious values, and finally come to the spiritual values to ultimately arrive at Aham Brahma Asmi. This is the whole teaching of Vaidika Dharma to discover fulfillment in our life. With this message from Swami Paramarthananda, we move on to today's special session. The first song is the Margabandhu Stotra, composed by Sri Appaya Dikshitaru, one of the greatest proponents of Advaita after Adi Shankara. The song is written in praise of Lord Margabandhu, Shiva as the one who gives us direction in life. It is often sung before embarking on any journey to act as a protective shield. We have Srimati Meenakshi Shanmukham with us, who will chant this stotra. Meenakshi, madam, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shambho Mahadeva Deva, Shambho Mahadeva Deva, Shiva Shambho Mahadeva Devesha Shambho, Shambho Mahadeva Deva. पालावनं मृत्किरीटं पालनेत्रार्चिषादग्ध पञ्चेषु कीटं शूलाहतारातिकूटं शुद्धमर्धेन्दुचूडं भजे मार्गबन्धुं शम्भो महादेव देव अङ्गे विराजत् भुजङ्गम् अभ्रगङ्गातरङ्गाभिरामोतमाङ्गम् ओङ्कारवाटीकुरङ्गं सिद्धसंसेविताङ्घ्रिं भजे मार्गबन्धुं शम्भो महादेव देव नित्यं चिदानन्दरूपं निष्णुताशेषलोकेश वैरीप्रतापं कार्तस्वरागेन्द्रचापं कृत्तिवासं भजे दिव्यसन्मार्गबन्धुं शम्भो महादेव देव कन्दर्पदर्भग्नमीशं कालकण्ठं महेशं महाव्योमकेशं कुन्दाभदन्तं सुरेशं कोटिसूर्यप्रकाशं भजे मार्गबन्धुं शम्भो महादेव देव मन्दारभूतेरुदारं मन्तरागेन्द्रसारं महागौर्यदूरं सिन्दूरदूरप्रचारं सिन्धुराजातिधीरं भजे मार्गबन्धुं शम्भो महादेव देव अप्यय्ययज्वेन्द्रगीतं स्तोत्रराजं पठेद्यस्तु भक्त्या प्रयाणे तस्यार्थसिद्धिं विधत्ते मार्गमध्ये भयं चाशुतोषो महेश शम्भो महादेव देव शम्भो महादेव देव शिव शम्भो महादेव देवेश शम्भो शम्भो महादेव देव शम्भो महादेव शम्भो महादेव शम्भो महादेव देव शम्भो महादेव देव शम्भो महादेव देव.
Thank you very much, Madam Meenakshi, for that divine chanting of this powerful stotra. May we indeed allow Shiva to be our Marga Bandhu, hand holding us at every stage of our lives. Next, we have a very popular song from the 1965 movie Satya Harishchandra. It shows how Lord Shiva, as Bhutanatha, the Lord of all beings, can give us strength even in the most difficult times. I request Sri Dwarkanath to invoke the blessings of Lord Bhutanatha today. Sri Dwarkanath is a retired Assistant General Manager from BEMEL and follows our Param Vedanta classes. Over to you, sir.
हे चन्द्रचूडमदनान्तकाशूलपाणे स्थानो गिरीशमहेश शम्भो हे पार्वती हृदयवल्लभ चन्द्रमौळे भूतादिपा प्रमथनाथ गिरीश चापा नमो भूतनाथा नमो देवदेवा नमो भक्तपाला नमो दिव्यतेजा नमो भूतनाथा नमो देवदेवा नमो भक्तपाला नमो दिव्यतेजा नमो भूतनाथा भवावेदसारा सदा निर्विकारा भवावेदसारा सदा निर्विकारा नमो लोकपाला नमो नादलोला नमो पार्वती वल्लभा नीलकण्ठा नमो भूतनाथा नमो देवदेवा नमो भक्तपाला नमो दिव्यतेजा नमो भूतनाथा सदा सुप्रकाशा महापापनाशा आ आ सदा सुप्रकाशा महापापनाशा काशी विश्वनाथा दया सिन्धुधाता नमो पार्वती वल्लभा नीलकण्ठा नमो भूतनाथा नमो देवदेवा नमो भक्तपाला नमो दिव्यतेजा नमो भूतनाथा.
Grateful thanks, Dwarkanath sir, for that bhakti-filled, divinely melodious rendering. Shraddha and bhakti in the Lord is truly the greatest blessing we can have in this life. Lord Shiva is within us and an eternal source of peace and security. We now have Dr. Komal Prasad, who has been a student of Vedanta for over a decade, to share his knowledge of Shiva with us. Over to you, Komal sir.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Today is auspicious Shivaratri, and we heard two melodious songs full of devotion about Marga Bandhu and Bhutanatha. This is a song which we have heard from Satya Harishchandra since our childhood days. Melodious, full of meaning. The melody takes us, it gets into our memory and makes us think about it again and again. Many times we miss out the essence of the meaning, which when we get into the spiritual journey, it unfolds thread by thread. And we'll be more and more grateful about the lineage and how this Vaidika Shastra, Vaidika Parampara, the Sanatana Dharma has percolated into our society, into our community from times immemorial, and how fortunate we are. This is the temple of Bhutanatha from Badami. Who is this Bhutanatha? Bhu. Bhu, the Dhatu Bhu from Sanskrit means to exist, to manifest. Very important dhatu. Bha. Bha means to come into manifestation, to appear, to become something which is perceivable from our senses is denoted by the dhatu bha. Bhuta means something which is manifested. So just by its presence, the term bhuta will give space for us to think that there is something which is abhuta, nabha. So these are the opposites. That means in our Indian tradition, in our Sanatana Dharma, there is always a place for something which is unmanifest. So our universe around us consists of two parts, one which is manifest, one which is not manifest. This is the basic difference between the modern scientific thinking in its initial stages, what we have seen, the physical sciences, which has taken us leaps and bounds, no doubt, over the last 2-3 centuries. And it also gives us an insight into what is missing and why that physical sciences will hit a roadblock at certain stage. So we are fortunate to be in this rich tradition, Bharata. Again, here we get into the dhatu bha. What is Bharata? Bharata is we are the people. It's not just a geographic entity, Bharata. It is a collective which is manifest. Who Rati is means to revel, to have a fancy about. We know that there are two parts of this universe, which one is manifest, one is unmanifest. Bha and Nabha. The manifest portion of it is for us to revel and enjoy. It's for us to think and eventually come to that thought of what that entire totality means. Unless we divide this into two and acknowledge the presence of the other part, we will miss out a very important thing as spiritual seekers. So Bharati will mean the collective people of this fortunate subcontinent who will revel in what is manifest around us. We enjoy the beauty. And is there anything beyond? That's where we come next. Bhutanatha is that term, is that Ishvara, is the Lord who regulates, who maintains this manifest universe. An unseen hand, unseen force which maintains the physical rules of this universe is Bhutanatha. Bhutanatha. So he is the Lord of everything which is manifest around us. Again, it is a reflected consciousness. The senior students of Vedanta will know that again, this is all in the sphere of Anatma. But we see this like a clockwork, the planets' movement, the stars, the sunlight, the mornings, the night, sunrise, sunset. how the plant grows, how the people grow, become young, gray, and then go. So all this, the cycle of life, the mystery of the flower blooming and completing its life cycle, everything falls under Bhuta Prapancha. And who is that one coordinator who can control all this and regulate all this over millennia? That entity, that person is Bhutanatha. In the next slide, we get into the next step. If we acknowledge the two things, one is that which is manifest, one which is not manifest. When should we think about that unmanifest universe? Is it something relevant to us? Or should we embrace the Charvaka philosophy that whatever exists, whatever I can perceive is true and everything else is false? Why false? It does not exist. Doesn't matter. Should we embrace that? So in Vedanta, in Tattva Bodha, we saw the four Purusharthas: Artha, Kama, Dharma, and Moksha. Whatever we do, whatever we think when we are alive, will fall into one of these categories. The intent, the end, the target of every action of us eventually will be between these four. Why predominantly it is Artha and Kama? That is to have a security in our society and to have an entertainment potential to keep us happy. Artha and Kama. Artha and Kama. From Balastavatu, from our adolescent age, from our Grihastha stage, we'll be fully immersed into that samsara of Artha and Kama. Vaidika Dharma, it's like two railway lanes going parallel to each other, Artha and Kama, taking in one particular route from birth up to the death. Is there anything else to this life? Is there any other meaning to this life? Vedanta says, as in Tattva Bodha, there are two other principal purusharthas, that is dharma and moksha. Dharma is the one, it is the structure, it is the framework, it is the boundary within which our artha and kama has to be limited to, without which we go haywire. Dharma and moksha are the two borders within which the rail of artha and kama proceeds. After some time, when we have gone into sufficient depths of artha and kama, there comes a time when we think, what is this moksha? Is there any other meaning to life? What is the meaning of life? What's the purpose of life? Now, being in Vedanta for some time, we understand the ultimate purpose, ultimate goal of life is to know who we are. The essential entity within us who is responsible for this life and essential entity in this universe which is responsible for the universe around us. That is moksha. A time in everybody's life will come when you're saturated with artha and kama as well as dharma, when you need to have a shift of gears in your journey of life towards moksha. Shivaratri is an auspicious occasion from times immemorial which is dedicated for the shift of gears. This is the auspicious time when many brahmacharis get into sannyasa, when many grihasthas will make a resolve to think about their inner self, to make a change in the path, as we see in these railway lanes, which would otherwise just go up till our death in the monotonous fashion of artha and kama, going forward, going backwards. Whatever is going forward is your punya, and whatever it gets back from this junction where you can shift over is because of our papa karmas. So this Shivaratri is an occasion when we move from one railway path to the other path of moksha, which will take us to the Bhutanatha and beyond, both the transcendental as well as immanent, both the immanent in this world as well as transcendental, which is beyond our senses. In Advaita, we are looking at one without a second. Brahman exists at all times as existence consciousness in all the beings around us, animate and inanimate. So this is the basic premise of Advaita. This is the declaration of ultimate truth of Advaita. Who is that who reveals this secret to us? We need somebody who has seen the other side, who is capable of coming to this side and let us know that great knowledge. And that embodiment of that person who can take us to have a peek into that other side is Dakshinamurti. Brahman associated with creative power of Maya is called Ishvara. He is the Srishti, Sthiti, Laya, Karana. He is our Margabandhu. So we heard that devotional song in the beginning, Margabandhu. What is this Marga? This is the railway track towards moksha. And who is our only accomplice along with that? He is Margabandhu. In the next slide, we'll come to an important part of Sri Rudram, which is generally chanted during religious ceremonies, particularly in Shivaratri, which is called Sri Rudram. A part of that, an important shloka, is something which we can remember and memorize in this auspicious occasion. In the next slide, we see the shloka, which goes like this. Namaste astu bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Namaste astu bhagavan. Again, Bhagavan is the one, the owner, the person responsible for this Bhuvi, Bhutanatha, which is manifest universe. So my obeisance to that Bhagavan. Namaste astu Bhagavan. Vishveshwaraya. Vishveshwara is the person who is ruler, the maintainer of the entire universe, as we see in the next slide. So this is from, you must be able to, you would have seen many of you, the beautiful ocean side view of uh, Mahadev, yeah, Murudeshwara, which is just by the ocean side. In this night, you can see the Maharatri Shivaratri day, it will be lit up. So this is the Murudeshwara, Vishweshwara. You can see the magnificence who is overriding and overseeing, and he's the ruler of the entire universe. Vishwa is that again, manifest universe. Manifest universe. So he is the one who is having knowledge of which is unmanifest. But because of the Maya, he is the one who has the controlling power of the entire universe. Murudeshwara, Vishweshwara. Next slide, we see the next word, Mahadevaya, light of all lights. So this is the light with which we can see our inner light. Person, we need a mirror to know ourselves. We can't see our eyes without somebody pointing out about what is there in our eye, or at least a mirror which will show what is there in our eye. He is that kind of light which will throw a light into the eventual ultimate source of that light, Mahadeva, Deva Deva, light of all lights. Trayambakaya, next slide we see Trayambaka, the eye of wisdom, the third eye. That's the Shastra Jnanam. So we have five senses, and this is the difference. Why the difference between the manifest and unmanifest universe comes is because We are bound by this outwardly projected senses, which makes us believe that what is perceivable by these five senses are the only truth, and nothing exists beyond that. With this third eye of Shastra, which is symbolized here in this Trayambaka, the Ishvara teaches us that once we get that third eye of wisdom, of Shastra, it is the sixth sense which will open up to that which is unmanifest. Trayambakaya. Next slide. Tripurantakaya. This is the Puranic story of Tripura. Tripura was the three sons of Tarakasura had this Tripura made of gold, silver, as well as iron. They are kind of flying saucers which could just cities, huge cities, which could travel from place to place. And they were, because of the boon they had from Ishvara, they started creating havoc. And eventually they had to be slayed by Ishvara using Meru as a bow and the serpent Pannaga as this string of that bow, and Mahavishnu as the arrow. The boon was that unless all the three are hit with a single arrow, it won't go away. So this Tripura, in a way, is an expression of the three unreal words, that is Stula, Sukshma, and Karana Shariras. Stula, Sukshma, and Karana Prapancha. These three, which are manifest, which are observable, unless we destroy that with our vision, with our third eye, we will not be able to perceive what is present beyond. So this is the inside story of Tripurantaka. So anything with the three, knower, known, and the knowledge. So this is again a Triputi. This Triputi must go. The symbolism of Tripurantaka is that. And the person who slays that, who dissolves that, is Ishvara, Shiva, Tripurantaka. Here you see the chariot, here both the sun and the moon are the wheels of the chariot. Brahmaji is the charioteer, and Vishnu himself is the arrow. So like that, so it is an embodiment of all the three aspects, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, with the combination which destroys this Tripura, this make-believe universe which is so real for us. And when it goes, we can see the transcendental part of Maheshwara. Next slide. Trikagni Kalaya. Trikagni means the three kinds of Agni. In any Gruhasta's house, it's again the ritualistic practice that three kinds of Agni should be there. And it's like having like three, for in today's day, it will be like having three kinds of Wi-Fi connections, three sources. So everything what you do in the house is taking that Agni from a combination of these three types of Agnis. And that is the ritualistic practice. Trikagni means here it represents ritualistic practice. So even this ritualistic practice eventually will have to come to an end, that which brings that kala, that end to that ritualistic practice. Who is the person responsible for that? He is the Trikagni Kalaya. The next slide. You see the next Kalagni Rudraya. That's the eventual Pralaya, that is destroyer of the entire creation eventually. He is Kalagni Rudraya. Next we see Nilakantaya. Nilakanta, we know the story of Samudra Mathana when the poison appears and it would destroy the entire universe. Nilakanta is the one who volunteers to swallow that poison which gets stuck in his neck, making it blue, like this blue jay, which is incidentally our state bird, very common bird in Karnataka. Nilakantaya. So this is the next name for Ishvara, Shiva. Next, Mrutyunjayaya. This is the photograph from a ghat from Varanasi. The smoke you are seeing is from actual burning of pyres, which is seen, which is considered very sacred. the ritual at the end of life for many. So, how do we conquer death? This story is from again the Puranas. Markandeya, young Markandeya, when he reaches 16 and he was about to go, he embraces the linga, he embraces the Lord and prays so that he escapes that death. When Yama comes, Ishvara, the noose, not just because he is embracing and he is surrendering to that ultimate truth, the noose which the Yama passes not just gets into Markandeya's neck, but it also encircles and enrages the Ishvara. When he comes out and he commands Yama to uh, leave Markandeya at the age of 16 throughout an entirety. And this is the story which has a relevance here. Like one who embraces the ultimate truth will eventually kill the death. Mrityunjayaya, who becomes like beyond death. That's the only way to embrace the eternal truth, to come out of this samsara of punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. Next we see Sadashivaya, ever auspicious. This is again, I spoke about Bha. There are other two dhatus here we have to see when we say Shiva. Who is this Shiva? It comes from two dhatus. Particularly, the first one has two meanings. One is Sho, Shayate Amangalam iti Shivaha. The one who destroys inauspiciousness is Shiva. And the second one, She, is to support. Sherate Mangalani Asmin iti Shivaha. That in whom all the Mangalams are resting is Shiva, the one who is the abode of all Mangalams and the one who is the destroyer of all Amangalams. And it's when is this? Not at one particular time. Sadashiva, ever auspicious. Now, as the Vedantic students of Advaita, what is auspiciousness and what is inauspiciousness? Which we generally consider as inauspicious. Shiva repeatedly reminds of those things being there, being a Bholenath, being in Smashana, having Bhasma around him. So, what is he reminding us of? What is auspiciousness for a spiritual seeker? The auspiciousness is this Shivaratri, the occasion to shift our gears towards moksha. That's the only auspiciousness for a spiritual seeker. Okay. Rest all is anatma, which is there, which is to be enjoyed, but there is something beyond. There's something auspicious beyond. And this is the occasion of Shivaratri when we need to see, remember, and shift our gaze towards this auspiciousness. Shivoham. The next slide we see that part of Sarveshwaraya. And this existence of Shiva is again, as I initially said, it is percolated to every strata of society. We are fortunate to be here. We have multiple occasions throughout the year, like this Shivaratri, where we keep reminded of the presence of Ishvara everywhere, every place, every being, living and non-living around us. Sarveshwara, he is there, immanent in everything around us. Next slide, we see the Mahadevaya, Sriman Mahadevaya Namaha. So this is the culmination. The next slide will again recapitulate the entire shloka. Namaste Astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Trayambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikagni Kalaya Kalagni Rudraya Neelakantaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Sriman Mahadevaya Namaha. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Komal sir, for this wonderful, comprehensive talk explaining the etymological meaning and significance of all of Lord Shiva's names, along with this visual, virtual tour of of their respective Shiva temples. Very informative and insightful, invoking bhakti in our hearts, especially on the occasion of Mahashivaratri. Thank you, sir. We now have Dr. Archana Kulkarni, an accomplished Hindustani vocalist and AIR A-grade artist who has sung with the legends S.P. Balasubramaniam and Sri P.B. Srinivas. Today, she will sing this beautiful song Linga Yen Antaranga, composed by the great saint Vijayadasaru. The song glorifies the physical form of Lord Shiva. It asks, does he need Abhisheka when he has the mighty Ganges on his head? Of what use are the flowers we offer when he lives in the silver mountain and the moon adorns his hair? He knows all that is in my mind. So, of what use is this stotra? This beautiful work reminds us of Shankara Bhagavad Pada's Parapuja. Over to you, Dr. Archana.
ಲಿಂಗಾ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಹರ ಹರ ಲಿಂಗಾ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಹರ ಹರ ಲಿಂಗಾ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಹರ ಹರ ಲಿಂಗಾ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಮಂಗಳಾಂಗ ಸರ್ವೋತ್ತುಂಗನೇ ರಾಮ ಲಿಂಗಾ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಹರ 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 ಲಿಂಗಾ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಮಂದಾಕಿನಿ ಧರವೆ ಗಂಗಾಂಬು ಮಜ್ಜನವೇ ಮಂದಾಕಿನಿ ಧರವೆ ಗಂಗಾಂಬು ಮಜ್ಜನವೇ ಚಂದ್ರಮೌಳಿಗೆ ಗಂಧ ಕುಸುಮಾರ್ಪಣೆ ಇಂದು ರವಿನೇತ್ರಗೆ ಕರ್ಪೂರದಾರತಿಯೇ ಇಂದು ರವಿನೇತ್ರಗೆ ಕರ್ಪೂರದಾರತಿಯೇ ಕಂದರ್ಪಜಿತಗೆ ಮೇಘಲಾಪೇಕ್ಷೆ ರಾಮ ಲಿಂಗಾ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಹರ 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 ಘನ ವಿದ್ಯಾ ತೋರಗಗೆ ಮಂತ್ರ ಕಲಾಪವೇ ಘನ ವಿದ್ಯಾ ತೋರಗಗೆ ಮಂತ್ರ ಕಲಾಪವೇ ಧನಪತಿಯ ಸಖಗೆ ಕೈ ಕಾಣಿಕೆ ಮನೆ ರಜತ ಪರ್ವತಗೆ ಪಣಿಯಾಭರಣವೇ ಮನೆ ರಜತ ಪರ್ವತಗೆ ಪಣಿಯಾಭರಣವೇ ಮನೋನಿಯಾಮಕ ಮನೋನಿಯಾಮಕವಿನ್ನ ಭಿನ್ನಹವೇ ರಾಮ ಲಿಂಗಾ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಲಿಂಗಾ ವೈರಾಗ್ಯ ನಿಧಿಗೆ ಈ ವಿಷಯ ಪದಾರ್ಥವೇ ಗೌರಿಯ ರಮಣಗೆ ಈ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವೇ ಗೌರಿಯ ರಮಣಗೆ ಈ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರವೇ ವೀರರಾಘವ ವಿಜಯ ವಿಠಲನ್ನ ನಿಜ ಹಸ್ತ ವೀರರಾಘವ ವಿಜಯ ವಿಠಲನ್ನ ನಿಜ ಹಸ್ತ ವಾರಿಜದಳದಿಂದ ಉದ್ಭವಿಸಿದ ಲಿಂಗ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಹರ ಹರ ಮಂಗಳಾಂಗ ಸರ್ವೋತ್ತುಂಗನೆ ರಾಮ ಲಿಂಗ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಹರ ಹರ ಲಿಂಗ ಎನ್ನಂತರಂಗ ಹರ 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 ಲಿಂಗ
Thank you, Dr. Archana, for that superlative singing overflowing with bhakti. Music perfectly brings out the bhakti bhava to fill everyone listening with ananda. Now, we move on to the next song of today. We all know the stotra Shivaya Vishnu Rupaya Shiva Rupaya Vishnave. Shiva is an ardent bhakta of Lord Vishnu, and hence he takes the avatara of Anjaneya to be with Rama. Rama installs the Shivalinga after his return from Lanka, and it is called Rameshwara. Here is a wonderful composition, again by Sri Vijayadasaru, who is praying to Shiva to keep his mind focused on Hari. This song was immortalized by Pandit Bhimsen Joshi. Let us listen to Kailasavasa Gaurisha Isha in the strong voice of Sri Amrut Kulkarni, who is a software professional, a tabla AIR A-grade artist with over 400 programs to his credit. Over to you, Sri Amrut Kulkarni.
Thank you, Panaga. Kailasavasa Gaurisha Isha Kailasavasa Gaurisha Isha ತೈಲಧಾರೆಯಂತೆ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಕೊಡೋ ಹರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಶಂಭೋ ಕೈಲಾಸವಾಸ ಗೌರೀಶ ಈಶ ಅಹೋರಾತ್ರಿಯಲಿ ನಾನು ಅನುಚರಾಗ್ರಣಿಯಾಗಿ ಅಹೋರಾತ್ರಿಯಲಿ ನಾನು ಅನುಚರಾಗ್ರಣಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಹಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಚರಿಸಿದೆನೋ ಮಹಾದೇವನೇ ಮಹಿಯೊಳಗೆ ಚರಿಸಿದೆನೋ ಮಹಾದೇವನೇ ಅಹಿಭೂಷಣನೆ ಅವಗುಣಗಳೆಣಿಸದಲೆ ಅಹಿಭೂಷಣನೆ ಅವಗುಣಗಳೆಣಿಸದಲೆ ವಿಹಿತ ಧರ್ಮದಿ ವಿಷ್ಣು ಭಕುತಿಯನೋ ಕೊಡೋ ಶಂಭೋ ಕೈಲಾಸವಾಸ ಗೌರೀಶ ಈಶಾ ಕೈಲಾಸವಾಸ ಗೌರೀಶ ಈಶಾ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಕಾರಣವಲ್ಲ ಪಾಪ ಪುಣ್ಯಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಮನಸ್ಸು ಕಾರಣವಲ್ಲ ಪಾಪ ಪುಣ್ಯಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಅನಲಾಕ್ಷ ನಿನ್ನ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆಯಿಲ್ಲದೆ ಅನಲಾಕ್ಷ ನಿನ್ನ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆಯಿಲ್ಲದೆ धनुज गज मदहारी दंड प्रणमव माल्पे धनुज गज मदहारी दंड प्रणमव माल्पे मणिसोई शिरवा सज्जन चरण कमल दलि कैलास वास गौरीश ईशा कैलासवास गौरीश ईशा भागीरथी धरने भयव परिहरि सैया भागीरथी धरने भयव परिहरि सैया ले सागिनी सलहो संतत सर्वदेवा ले सागिनी सलहो संतत सर्वदेवा भागवत जनप्रिय विजय विठ्ठल नंघ्री भागवत जनप्रिय विजय विठ्ठल नंघ्री जागुमाडदे भजिप भाग्यवनो कोडो शंभो कैलास वास गौरीश ईशा कैलासवास गौरीश ईशा तैलधारे यन्ते मनसु कोडो हरियल्ली शंभो कैलासवास गौरीश ईशा कैलासवास गौरीश ईशा गौरीश ईशा गौरीश ईशा
Thank you very much, Shri Amrut, for that powerful, extremely melodious rendition of this very lovable song. We have to listen to it again with our eyes closed and immerse ourselves in this outpouring of bhakti. Thank you, sir. I now invite our Guru, Dr. Timmappa Hegde sir, to give us his message on today's occasion of Mahashivaratri. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Panaga. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. On Shivaratri, we pray, we do some puja. Fasting is a practice. Sometimes we are on a yatra. And it is also important to keep the spine erect, that we all through the night we don't sleep, or jagaran. But I'll take the liberty of confusing you a little on the significance of prayer and all these religious practices, particularly as we are students of Vedanta. There is one very strong message from Swamiji, which is very difficult to accept, and that is no special prayer. We are also students of Vedanta. We know the ultimate is Brahman, and we also know is Ayamatma Brahman. Brahman is not a person to pray to. Then what do we pray? So this becomes a problem about the significance of prayer. Swamiji repeatedly says each time we pray a specific prayer, when I pray for myself or my family, the problem is it strengthens my ahankara and mamakara, which is an obstacle to spiritual progress. And therefore, what is the significance of prayer at this time? Let us make it a little more complicated now. Whenever we make a special prayer for our family member or for myself, ask this question: am I praying for any favors or am I praying for justice? Now, sometimes we want our child or somebody very close to us to get admission to a good university, and we use all our prayer power and puja power that God favors our child over someone else, which means if my child wins, someone else loses. Can you see the situation where there is one parent who has to arbitrate between two kids who want the same toy at the same time? When you are in a position of authority, when you have the ability to grant funds or something to different departments, now what is guiding you? Is it justice or is it to people who are close to you? Now, this is the dilemma for the Lord who has all the powers. The Lord has no limitations in powers to grant us favors. But then remember the Lord, Ishvara, is bound by the laws that he or the Lord has enforced. We have certain natural laws. Now, I have slipped. Now, can I can the natural law, can I pray that the natural law be suspended so that I don't fall and hurt myself? So too, there is also the law of karma, and the Lord has to maintain all these. So the dilemma comes, am I a victim of my prarabdha karma or do I have any freedom? If you look into prarabdha, you will see how some of the most important events in your life, like your birth, the place of birth, the time of birth, our gender, our family, our religion, our nationality, what type of body we have, our mind, our intellect, our vasanas that have been given to us, the type of programming that we get through the environment that we are on, all these we have no control on. And therefore, you see our lives, how little freedom we really have. Again, if you look into some of these verses of the Bhagavad Gita, these on the surface are very frightening. Swamiji has given a very detailed explanation, so I should not take it out of context, which says, Nimitta matram bhava savya sachi. You are just an instrument, you are a pawn in my hands, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna. And then in the 18th chapter, there is another verse which says, our lives are like a machine. Brahmayam sarva bhutani yantra rudani mayaya. Everything is going according as per a certain master plan, and we seem to have no freedom about our own lives. Now, the glory of being a human is that we have Purushartha. And when you have Purushartha, it means I am not just a victim of fate, I have a certain amount of freedom. For example, if an animal in a forest is injured and the bones are broken, it is now a victim of fate. There is no way anything can be helped. It cannot move. It becomes a victim to be preyed upon by other animals. It cannot look for food. So a broken bone for an animal could be its death. For example, the same thing in a human being who's injured in an accident can be shifted to a hospital, can be treated. So what would be fatal for somebody, we have the ability to treat. And again, if you look into our lives, we will see any prarabdha karma, or for that matter, any karma, we do not know if it is prabala, which means very strong, or durbala. And therefore, we have a certain amount of purusharthas to be able to control. And if it is durbala, do what we can through whatever we have been speaking about, through prayer, through puja, through yatra, and so on. Now we are introduced to a whole lot of prayers. What do all these prayers say? This is the concluding verses of the Hanuman Chalisa. Yo ye pade Hanuman Chalisa, ho ye siddhi saki gaurisha, which means those who chant and recite Hanuman Chalisa will become siddhis, will become accomplished. Lord Shiva himself is proof to it. In the Sri Dakshinamurti by the great Advaita Vedantin, the concluding verse, which is the 10th verse, goes like this, that we will get all forms of siddhis, Ashta Siddhi, Aishwaryatyam, if you're able to chant Sri Dakshinamurti Stotra. Now, these are human compositions. What about the Vedas? What about the Upanishads? Now, I will tell you about the concluding verses of the Kaivalya Upanishad. Now, Lord Shiva is also called Ashutoshan. That means one who is easily pleased. And our scriptures say that by chanting the Shri Rudram is one of the easy ways to please Lord Shiva. Now, this is the first verse of the second chapter. That means one of the concluding verses of the Kaivalya Upanishad, which says, Yaha Shatarudriya. That means the one who chants the Shri Rudram, Sah Agni Puto Bhavati. He is purified by Agni. And purified of what? Anything and everything. That means he is purified by the fire. He is purified from the sin of drinking alcohol, freed from the killing of a Brahmana, freed from the sin of stealing gold, freed from all commissions and emissions. Now, this is the Vedas, this is the Upanishads which are talking like this. Now, sometimes we do get confused. Now, do they really mean all this? Now, in this context, let us look at the significance of certain mantras for Shivaratri. And the one mantra, which is also from the Shri Rudram, it comes in the middle of Shri Rudram, is the Maha Mrityunjaya mantra. Among the mantras, like the Gayatri mantra, it's considered one of the most powerful mantra. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Uruva Rukamiva Bandhanat Mrityor Mukshya Mamratat. Trayambakam, the one. Now, the beauty of this mantra is you get all the Purusharthas. The word Sugandhim here means Dharma Purushartha. Pushti Vardhanam symbolizes Artha and Kama Purushartha. Trayambakam. Trayambakam signifies the one with two eyes, the one with three eyes. The two eyes are considered Laukika eyes, and the third eye opens up when a person has spiritual wisdom. Now, how do we associate Sugandhim with Dharma Purushartha? Whenever a person is full of Dharma, such a person is attractive because he has been a donor, and such a person has an intrinsic fragrance to it. There is a little story that I would like to share very quickly. This is a story of an extremely rich man. And when he was dying, when he suddenly realized he was dying, he had only one wish, that I want to take my wealth with me. And he went from master to master, and all of them said, there is no way. You have to drop your body. And when you drop your body, all your wealth, there is no way you can take your wealth with you. And finally, when he met Guru Nanak Dev, Guru Nanak said, yes, you can. And he was so thrilled. He said, how is that? Can I? And he said, have you traveled abroad? He says, yes, I travel abroad, and I've made most of my money by traveling abroad. And he says, when you go abroad, is your currency valid in the foreign countries? He says, no, there is a method of currency exchange where with my country's money, I'm able to buy the currency of that country. And thereby, whenever I buy the goods from there, I exchange to my currency and so on. So I'm fully aware of this currency exchange. So Guru Nanak Dev tells him, there is a method. Now I want you to do dharma. I want you to do charity. I want you to do dhana. And that is the way you'll be able to convert your wealth into punya. And punya is something that you can carry to the other world. So punya brings in sugandhim. The third eye brings in, symbolizes the word trayambakam, signifies moksha purushartha. This verse prepares us for the death and the dying by telling us, Uruva Rukamiva Bandhanat. Let my connection with my life be as fragile as the creeper with a pumpkin. That means it is connected, but it can disconnect anytime. Urva Rukamiva Bandhanat. Let my bonding with life have that much vairagya. I'm connected, but at the same time ready for disconnection. Mrityor Mukshya. Mukshya means freedom. Give me freedom from death. Ma Amritat. But do not free me from immortality. That means give me immortality all the time, as explained in the story of Markandeya. So, Pushti Vardhanam signifies Artha and Kama. Sugandhim signifies Dharma Purushartha. Trayambakam signifies Moksha Purushartha. So in this powerful mantra, not only prepares us for the death and the dying and to get immortality, but also the 4 Purusharthas that we have. There is another prayer that is said to be chanted, which is right in the middle of the Shri Rudram. a very simple mantra called the Panchakshari, Namah Shivaya. If you add Om, it becomes Om Namah Shivaya. What is the significance? The significance, it is supposed to be a Sharanagati mantra. Sharanagati for what? Whenever you chant Om Namah Shivaya, I accept all the natural laws. I surrender to the law of karma. Now, in conclusion, I will bring in two thoughts. So on the one hand, we can pray for all the Purusharthas. On the other hand, see what Adi Shankara has to say. Kurute Ganga Sagara Gamanam, Vrata Paripalan Athava Dhanam, Jnana Vihina Sarva Matena. All the philosophies say one thing. You may do any amount of pilgrimage, any amount of vrata paripalana, fulfilling the vratas, you may give dhanam, but jnanam vihina, if you do not have spiritual knowledge, bhajati na muktim, there is no question of mukti, of freedom, janma shatena, in hundreds of births. This is a story of a great mystic saint from Orissa, commonly known as Odia Baba. Odia Baba was a lover of Sanskrit, and as a very young person, was a Sanskrit scholar very early in life. And as a young man, and in those days, was struck by the immense man-made famine in Orissa at that time. India was under the British rule, and he saw hundreds of people suffering from want of food. And as a young person, he did whatever he could to arrange for food for people. And then he realized that this is not enough. I have to do something special. And he went into intense tapasyam to Purneshwari, and he was able to get that siddhi. And the siddhi that he got was this, to be able to feed any number of people at any time. So he had that power to be able to give food to any number of people at any time. But even before he would use the siddhi, a thought occurred to him. Now I am using a borrowed technique from Devi. Is Devi not aware of what is happening around? Is the Devi not aware of her own powers that she can utilize? Around that time, he was in Guwahati, in that famous temple, Kamakshi temple, when he heard somebody giving a class on Viveka Chudamani. He attended those classes, and suddenly he realized that the path of Jnanam is the real path. He moved from being a upasaka to a jnani, and he was a great source of inspiration to, and he comes back to Vrindavan, and he was a great source of inspiration to many other teachers from whom we got the tradition, and from there the lineage comes down to Swami Anubhavananda Ji. Swami Anubhavananda Ji always talks about two kinds of acharyas. One type of acharyas is who have abilities to solve your problem. So if you go to that teacher with any problem, he will give you a solution. And once a problem is solved, you are so grateful to him. You are the slave for him for the rest of your life, because you know he has helped you. Not only that, if you have a problem again, you can go to him and he can solve your problems. This is one kind of teachers, and there are many of that kind of teachers who have the ability to solve your problem, and a byproduct is you become enslaved by such a person. There is another kind of the Acharya, and that comes from the tradition of Sri Dakshinamurti. And Sri Dakshinamurti is Lord Shiva as Laya Karta. Laya means the ability to destroy. Destroy what? He is able to destroy you completely. That I, as the ego, does not cease to exist. This is real Laya. The ego is destroyed by giving spiritual knowledge. When I have disappeared, then who has the problem? When I have disappeared, he dissolves the one with the problems. Then you continue to remain as an observer, and that makes all our problems insignificant. When the sun of consciousness has risen, the stars continue to remain, but they become relatively insignificant. And this is what is called my body, my family, and the whole world around me is mithya. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us these powerful Shiva shlokas from our diverse scriptures. Sir's words, I've always felt, are like softly flowing water. Just listening to them, filled with knowledge, has a calming effect on us and makes us tap into a better version of ourselves. We now have Sri Vikram, who will present a Nididhyasana Stotra on Lord Shiva. Vikram is a management professional with Ericsson. Over to you, Sri Vikram.
शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् नित्योऽहं शुद्धोऽहं बुद्धोऽहं मुक्तोऽहम् शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं शिवस्वरूपोऽहम् अद्वैतमानन्द रूपम् अरूपम् ब्रह्मोऽहं ब्रह्मोऽहम् ब्रह्मस्वरूपोऽहम् चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहम् सच्चिदानन्दोऽहम् चिदोऽहं चिदोऽहम् सच्चिदानन्दोऽहम् अखिल विश्व का जो परमात्मा है सभी प्राणियों का वही आत्मा है वही आत्मा सच्चिदानंद मैं हूँ शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् जिसे शस्त्र काटे न अग्नि जलाए गलाए न पानी न मृत्यु मिटाए वही आत्मा सच्चिदानंद मैं हूँ शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् जो व्यापक है कण कण में है वास जिसका नहीं तीनों कालों में है नाश जिसका वही आत्मा सच्चिदानंद मैं हूँ शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् है तारों सितारों में प्रकाश जिसका है चांद और सूरज में आभास उसका वही आत्मा सच्चिदानंद मैं हूँ शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम् यही ज्ञान अर्जुन को हरि ने सुनाया, यही ज्ञान वेदों में ऋषियों ने पाया, वही आत्मा सच्चिदानंद मैं हूँ। अमर आत्मा सच्चिदानंद मैं हूँ। शिवोऽहं 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 शिवस्वरूपोऽहम्।
शिवोऽहं 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 शिवोऽहम्. That was very beautiful, Shri Vikram. Thank you so much for taking us on an internal journey to meditate on Satchidananda Rupaha. These are Nididhyasana shlokas to be played in our head in loop. Swami Anubhavananda says, spirituality is not a part-time profession, but a full-time preoccupation. Our deep, heartfelt gratitude to all the singers and speakers of the day for making our Shivaratri so special. Our sincere thanks to all our viewers for being a part of this satsang on this auspicious day. With this, we come to the end of the Shivaratri special session of Param Vedanta. Let us stay committed seekers with Shraddha in our Shastras and Bhakti towards our Guru. And then, Lord Shiva's divine grace will lead us from finitude to discovering the Absolute. We conclude today's session with the Mahamrityunjaya mantra. ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। ॐ त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात्। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। Thank you.